Welcome to No Small Roles. This is the show where I speak with fellow actors about their careers and about some of their smaller roles in movies and TV, and how those roles were, in fact, not at all small for the actors who played them. Now, today's guest is Chris Dooley, an LA-based actor who our friend Joe hooked us up. So, Joe, oh my God, Chris, welcome to the show.
It's good to be here. I'm really happy to do this.
Thank you for taking your time to do it.
Yeah.
So before I jump in, I like to jump right into, peeling back the onion. As you know, onions can make people tear up. It can be kind of, so I'm just going to go for it. Do you prefer grilled cheese with or without tomato?
Oh, definitely without.
Without. Okay. Wow. That's great, actually, because a lot of people just go for the tomato. So
really?
Yeah. But I think I'm with you. I would use tomato, but I prefer generally without. So we're on the same.
If I'm being honest, I typically turn grilled cheese and put some eggs in it and make it an egg sandwich.
Or I just destroyed it.
Turkey and make it lunch. So
you ruined the grilled cheese. Okay.
All enhancements.
You probably put broccoli and spinach in there too.
Definitely never do that. I will on pizza.
All right. I put pineapple. Do you do pineapple on pizza?
Ham and pineapple. I pretty much like anything on a pizza except anchovies.
Okay. Okay. Now we're back on the same page. I was
pretty easy going when it comes to food. I really am not a picky eater.
And you're in LA.
I am.
So In-N-Out Burger, Baja Fresh.
In-N-Out Burger. There's actually, I live in West Hollywood, and there's the little burger place by the car wash in Santa Monica and Palm Avenue. Yeah. I don't know if you've ever gone to that place.
I haven't lived there for so long. I don't know.
It's a taco stand. To me, they have the best burgers that I've had in LA.
Okay, I will come over. I'm coming now. Bye. No, I'm back. I'm sorry. I'll stay. It's too far, and it's rainy, and I don't want to drive to get to the airport. But anyway, so you clearly are a smart person. You studied entrepreneurship at Wellesley in Massachusetts.
I went to Babson. Yeah.
And Babson.
Or Babson is that College? Yeah. Wellesley is the sister school to Babson College.
Oh, I'm a dummy. Right. But
it's an all-women's college. Although I think you can take classes there if you go to Babson.
So you're a smart guy then.
Yeah. I try.
Yeah. you did that. So why would someone that's, clearly smart become an actor? Why are you an actor?
Why am I an actor? I guess this is where it's like, yeah, this is a good question of like intelligence, isn't it? To do this to yourself. Maybe I'm a
exactly.
I don't know. I'm really trying to figure that out.
Yeah, we all are.
It's tough. It's a tough career to tackle. But
for sure.
So the way I got started is I've always wanted to do it. I did summer theater when I was a kid, but it was never the cool thing to do. So I shied away from doing theater when I got older. Yeah. And I had headshots done when I was like 20, and I moved to Boston after college, and I was trying to work my first job out of college. And then I was going down to New York once a week and taking a class with this casting director because I signed up for this mailing list thing.
Yeah.
And then when I was 29, I was living in New York and decided to get headshots done again and took a class at HB Studios. And the class actually, it was like 50 people in the class. It completely discouraged me from wanting to pursue acting. And then
why?
Before I turned 40, why? Because it was really big. I got up and I did my thing, and the guy was like, "That's amazing." And I'm like, "Okay, what was amazing about it?" And I have no idea what I'm doing. So it was one of those things where I'm trying to trust my instincts, and I'm trying to do the things that they actually teach you along the way. But it just wasn't really a good structured class for me of teaching me what acting is.
But they were encouraging you. It seemed like you had something natural, is what it seemed like.
They were encouraging, but it was also a little bit checked out.
Okay.
On their end, where it was like, good, you did a great thing. And it's like, well, what was the great thing that I did?
So there, you felt like
I can repeat the great thing and not just get lucky doing it the first time, right?
Did you feel they were kind of just packing the class and trying to, just collect money from desperate actors?
Yes.
Okay. That exists.
Yeah.
But I've seen, and maybe we'll get to, I'll talk about it now. You've done a lot of training though. I've recognized some of the casting directors and associates you work with, like Kimberly Graham and Lisa Kate.
Right.
You have done a lot. So it is something that you haven't given up on.
I haven't given up on it. I think it's something that I'll never give up on. It's been about 8 years that I've been doing this. It was before I turned 39. I had a friend of mine who was an agent, and to do a share out in Fire Island together. He found someone from Yale, and that person got a Best Supporting Actress win for a big movie that she did. I'm not going to drop names for anybody, but
who is it?
She fired him and went with a different agency because agents, they promise you all these things. You get bigger, your career gets bigger, you do all these things, right? And he was very upset. So jokingly, I said to him, I'm like, we're friends, right? So you make me famous and you represent me and we all win because loyalty, right? Yeah. And he looked at me and said, I will get you an audition, but you can't embarrass me. And I said, well, I better go take a class. So a couple of weeks go by, I email him and I'm like, hey, I'm not holding you to anything, but I really do want to take an acting class and just see if it's something that I like. Well, in 13 years of him being an agent, he never had anybody reach out to him and say, hey, this is my teacher. So we're teaching, we have classes and stuff. But he got 2 of those emails. One, I think, was from Tara Rubin, who's like a big casting person on Broadway, and suggesting Laura Henry, who was the acting coach that I actually talked to and who became my acting coach, and was the start of my true journey of learning and understanding what acting really is. And that's when I fell in love with it. And this is what I think I want to do with my life.
That's insane.
Yes.
I hear you. Now, before I continue, there's a segment, which I believe we discussed through email, and it's called The Kiss and Tell, where people share a behind the scenes story or something that inspired them, something that grossed them out, or they were not impressed with, or whatever. But in one word, can you tease what your kiss and tell is? My nose is so itchy. I'm sorry.
How about poor behavior?
That is more than one word. Well, that's fine, though. Okay. People have been breaking the rules on that, so there's no rule. Whatever. Behavior. Okay. So we'll come back to that later. That's the tease to make people watch the whole show.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, don't tell them. They're being tricked. Okay, so I've seen that you have done a good amount of theater. You said you grew up doing theater, and I see there's some independent projects on your resume.
Yes.
So how do you go from this guy that's doing some training in New York, and you are from New York as well? You're from upstate New York, is that correct?
I grew up near Saratoga Springs, not really in Saratoga Springs.
I'm in Connecticut, so I'm not far from your old neck of the woods.
Right. I had 2 brothers that lived in Connecticut, but
they're currently there
for another day.
Okay.
No, one lives in Western Mass and the other passed away a long time ago.
I'm sorry. So. I lost a brother too, so I know that. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
It's life. These things happen. So
it's an unfortunate part of it. But
to our brothers. Cheers.
Yes. Cheers.
Okay, so how do you end up going from New York to ending up in LA and pursuing this crazy career?
So I lived in New York for 18 years, and I was really struggling with finding happiness in my career. And I started doing all this research and taking classes and really trying to figure out, well, what is TV film like? What is theater like? How do I get myself prepared to be able to do these things and be successful at it?
Yeah.
And this agent friend that I had mentioned before, he and I were having lunch, and I started telling him about all the classes I was taking, like going to Barrow Group and looking at improv classes and getting in front of camera classes and all the casting directors, some of the ones that you mentioned, like really understanding what these things have to offer and how I have to learn how to do these things. And then it was a decision of LA, Atlanta, or New York. And I was ready for a change. I'd been in New York for a while, and I just felt like I needed a break. But not a break up, but just a break. You know what I mean? Like New York is always in my life, always in my blood.
Yeah.
So I decided to move to LA. It's just that my timing to do all this and then really get in earnest of wanting to submit for roles and try and find an agent or a manager happened just before the pandemic.
Oh, you're not alone.
2020, January 1st, I made LA my home. I came out here and found an apartment, started going back and forth. And then we went into lockdown. A few months later. So it was really all about, what do we do in lockdown? How do we make this happen? And I really wasn't keen and aware of how much networking was an important part of this. I
Oh,
don't know
sure.
how I lost that going to business school, but I can
Yeah.
say network, and make the relationships and forge the relationships.
Which is hard when everyone's on lockdown.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that just became more of a submission, and then it becomes this thing where you're on Actors Access and you're submitting. I was submitting myself for all these different roles and auditions, and started to, I was taking classes on Zoom too. I was actually in an audition class with my acting coach, and we moved the class to Zoom to test to see if it would still work. And that actually became a wonderful thing, because then it was actor friends of mine that I had in New York and in LA. We were all getting to be in the same class.
Yeah.
So it was this little reunion of sorts. But it really also just helped to keep the momentum going of the training and the learning and the growing and all the things that are really important. Because I find that when I am in a zone and I start getting all these auditions in, it's the practice of it. It's the rhythm. It's like going to the gym. The more I go, the bigger my muscles are going to get.
No, exactly. Staying dusted off and being prepared for for the opportunities that may come, for sure. Yeah, during the pandemic, I have a little actor group that we've been meeting, through Facebook, and we have this, there's like 8 of us. And during the pandemic, we were bringing in casting directors like Lisa Kate and Kimberly Graham and other ones to just do like a little class with us, and we would, throw a few bucks their way, and that was great for us. So it's very similar,
right?
To it was great. So did you find doing that, did that lead to opportunity? I have another friend who moved from New York right at the same time, and he had gotten some legit TV jobs. He had an agent down south on the East Coast and in New York, and he left them all, said, I'm going to LA, I'm going to break in. Pandemic, the strike, same thing. He's had such a difficult time breaking in since. Do you find that it's still difficult?
I find that it is a little bit difficult still now. The work doesn't seem to be there, but there are a lot of auditions coming. And for me, it's a lot of commercial auditions. So what I did, my workaround was, with COVID, I got certified as a COVID compliance officer. Because
what is that?
A COVID compliance officer is somebody who
get a gun?
is the most hated person on the set.
Put your mask up.
Because they're like, put your mask up and take this test, and here, give me your temperature. And they're basically, being that person that's like, hey, like we want to be able to work, and these are the rules that we have to do. So it becomes you reminding people more than anything of doing that. But I think a lot of people have such resentment towards having to do this stuff, and it adds so much more money to the budget and all this other stuff, where they're just like, we hate you. But
did you do that on, I saw you did that for a project called Linked by Love. Did you do it on others?
I did it on a couple other smaller projects too. Yes.
And what was that? So I don't know Linked by Love, but is that it's a
Linked by Love was a 6-part limited series, and it's what do they call it? An educational documentary or something. It's it's like an information. What do they call it? An information thing. Informational. I don't know. It's
I don't know.
It basically was like to give people information and education on kidney failure and problems that people have. So
it's so specific.
It really is, but it was to create awareness. It was funded by a foundation. A friend of mine was the director he was one of the 2 directors on the thing. And he also had this COVID compliance company. And so I worked with him on COVID compliance. But because I was on set and didn't go back to a corporate job, that is how I became SAG eligible. Because I got to do little parts in these
in that project.
In that project particularly, I got to do some background that got me a couple of waivers that I needed to get to be SAG eligible. And then I believe, I don't know if this is the absolute truth, but I ended up getting my first feature film SAG role just after that. And then we went into the strike just after that. So I started building this momentum. I'm like, 2023 is going to be what's that?
I'm sorry. Sorry to interrupt, but did you have to join SAG at that point when you got the feature film?
I didn't. No,
Okay.
that
You
was
get like one freebie or
I
something.
think the next one is like must join.
Okay.
But it was like 2023 is going to be my year. I've got all this momentum going on. You know, I've had all these other independent projects that I had done and a couple
Yeah.
small commercials and things like that. So then it became going up against the strike.
Sure.
So then I lost a lot of momentum because of that, because I wasn't really sure what to do. Like
We all did.
how do we get work? What's going on? Everything is just up in the air. And I ended up doing a road trip and going home and visiting my family for 4 months. I had a niece get married and a nephew get married.
Oh, that's great.
And I just packed up my dog and said, we don't know when we're coming back. So
Yeah. It's still not really back. It's been really, it stopped everyone's momentum. I mean, I know the strike happened for good reasons,
right.
but it is still very sparse and everyone's struggling. I just got a message from my agent this morning saying that he's my Boston agent, that he's kind of taken a step back. He's going to have his assistants kind of take charge because it's so grim out there. So you are not alone.
Yes, I think we're all kind of in this together, suffering
Yeah.
in certain ways.
Again, questioning, why are we? For me, it's like, I don't know what else to do.
Yeah, it's been a big question for me. But I also, during that time of the strike, I reached out to the script supervisor that was on the Link by Love project and said, hey, tell me about your job. Somebody told me that I might be good at this because I was a project manager for so many years. So she explained to me what a script supervisor does, basically the right hand of the director. And I thought, well, that's something I could do. So she connected me to the woman she took this class with. So I did a 6-month intensive and became a script supervisor, certified in script supervising.
That's
so
great.
I haven't done anything big with that yet. But again, it was my strategy to be in the environment that I want to be in, to work in. Right.
And
so
again, that could lead to also acting opportunities, but script supervisor, obviously those days are long, but what a great gig that could be.
Yeah.
You just kind of tell actors, no, you say this line. No, you forgot to say this. This is the line. I mean, that's kind of cool. Yeah. They're always there. Yeah. They work a lot more than actors do.
They definitely do. And there's so much more to the job. I mean, it's really, you really are that funnel to all of the different departments and the continuity across wardrobe and hair and makeup and just how we shoot the scenes. And more than just making sure that the actor says the right line, but there's so many specificities that you're watching for and just continuity from start to finish. Anytime you see a film and there's like some sort of flaw in there, that's what a script supervisor is looking for. We try to avoid that type of thing.
So are there script supervisors that are there rumors about specific ones? They're like, oh, that one blew. Do you see that movie? The Wizard of Oz? There's that. I don't know.
I've never heard anything negative
about
any script supervisors. So, which I think is great.
The other day. So I dropped a word and they were right there with me. I said on instead of for, and they caught me and we fixed it.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Yeah. Whew.
That's being on their toes because there's so much that they have to do. I mean, it's a lot of attention to detail.
Yeah, I would suck at it.
They're the unsung heroes of the entire project and process, I think.
Oh, for sure. And they're the only other than the director and the AD, the only other person you really hear from is the script supervisor. So that's awesome that you're doing that. But you don't want to give up in the acting. That's
absolutely not. I mean, first and foremost, like I want to be an actor. That's why I'm doing all of this stuff. If I wanted to give up on that, I would go seek out a corporate job again, or probably get even crazier and try and go into politics or something.
Oh, okay. Well, with your MAGA hat?
I still love myself enough to not do that. So.
Good. I love you too. Though maybe we could use good people like you doing that. Maybe
that's the secret.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, don't give up yet. What was the corporate job? Where did you come? Because you studied entrepreneurship. Is that what you were doing? I don't think we've covered that part yet.
It did. So I started out doing marketing and advertising. So my first job out of college was in Boston, and it was for this little agency, medium-sized agency that was at that time known as Bronner, Schlossberg, Humphrey, and Strategic Interactive Group, which then became Digitas. So I was there through that entire transition, and it was really more of a tech type of thing. I started out as a client strategist and project manager, and Dell Computers was the first account that I worked on. And then I worked on LL Bean, and I worked on, I can't remember what my other client there was. LL Bean was like the main one. And then I moved to New York. I worked for McGraw-Hill, the publishing company, and was in-house advertising. Then I went back to the agency world because it's a little more fast-paced and fun and interesting. Things don't move as slowly as they do in publishing. And then I decided to make the career change to user experience. And user experience is, I get to be the asset that people fight over. So I don't have to be the project manager and worry about the budget and the time and the constraints and all of the people that are doing the stuff. I get to just work on my one thing. That's what I really liked doing. So user experience, and like I do information architect user experience. And what that job is think of an architect for a house. They make the blueprints and they plan it all out so then you can build the house. That's what an information architect and user experience designer, that's what they do. It's basically making the blueprints for a website so you can go build the website and see how it functions and do a lot of testing and interviewing of people and stakeholders to ensure that the entire experience is something that will drive the user to get their needs met.
Is this something that you enjoyed? And did you feel that you were able to use your skills as an actor to do this? I mean, because you were dealing with people, and people skills are kind of the acting.
Well, I feel like it goes back and forth, right?
Sure.
Taking the acting classes, I think, helps me to become a better presenter and more present in dealing with people in meetings and being able to facilitate certain things.
Sure.
And I think the corporate world prepares you for the roles and the experience that you need to bring into a role for acting. So even though there's a lot more background work than I've done, a lot of those jobs are in some sort of office or in some sort of hospital or in some sort of courtroom or something where it's like serious and professional or business. Like I did background for Billions for a bunch of episodes for Law and Order SVU, and then I was on Grey's Anatomy and a whole bunch of different things that I got to do.
Are you one of those? Because I mean, I would say the majority of actors are background actors. I mean, that is our business, people that are union. I think it's like 5 to 15% maybe are getting the larger principal role. So it's that's the base of the business. Did you enjoy that? Are you one of the guys with the chair? Do you have your own chair?
I don't have my own chair.
Okay. I did it because I did it in LA when we lived there, and people were like serious. They had their chairs, they had their corner they sat in. I was not up to par. I could not.
No, you do. I mean, background, you're in holding a lot and you do a lot of waiting around, but I don't like to wait around. I want to be in there. So I don't have a chair to park myself somewhere. I'm just like, let's get onto set. And I think that actually helped me a couple different times get to do more fun and interesting things.
Because you were able to move and go and
well, it's just like you are more engaged in talking to people, and they like that you are up and ready to go and ready to do the thing, and not just being like, oh, I have to do this now, or I've been sitting around for 4 hours, and it's like, I've been sitting around for 4 hours, put me to work.
I'm getting paid to read a book. Right in the corner. Yeah. When I was in LA, I got an agent out there through connections. My wife worked in this theater, and she set me up with this agent. And I was doing BG on this movie called End of Days with Arnold Schwarzenegger, or I got a job to do it, and I had like bleach blonde hair. Oh no, it wasn't that. It was at Firefly. It was a space, and they wanted me to be like this guard on a ship and stuff. And then I got an audition for a commercial, and I'm like, I can't not go to the audition that my agent set me up with. So I called. I think it was the night before the BG gig, and I called them at Central Casting. I'm like, I can't make it. I think I just told them, like, I have an audition. They're like, you're boning me. You're never going to work in this town again. And that was the last of my BG in LA, but I didn't book the commercial.
Oh no.
But yeah,
they really did like cut you.
Oh yeah. Yeah. He's like, you're boning me. Like he totally had that like California surfer voice. But,
I guess you do have to lie then. They're just encouraging you to lie.
Yeah.
You can't not do the audition.
I know. I thought of it.
That's why we're in this.
I should have said like my grandmother had a heart attack or something. I don't.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sick.
There was this other one where the Schwarzenegger movie. It was called End of Days, and they wanted to meet us in person. And on my resume said I had blonde hair because I used to bleach it with like sun in. And I arrived. He's like, "Your hair's not blonde. It's like strawberry red." I'm like, I'm sorry. He's like, "Yeah, I can't believe you're wasting my time." And my question is, are they more respectful of background nowadays?
Are they more respectful? I really do think it's a case by case, and that's where I can leave it. I've done it in New York and I've done it in LA. I feel like there's a different kind of vibe that goes with New York and LA. I feel like New York actors are more like that New York mentality, and that let's get to work and let's do stuff. And there's more hunger in the way that they move and do things. And I'm not saying that LA actors or background are lazy by any stretch of the imagination, but it's definitely more laid back here.
It's the sun.
Yeah.
Does it? And the comfort.
I think so. I mean, we have nice weather. It's like, why rush?
Yeah. And earthquakes. So you should rush so you don't get sucked into that big crevice that's going to open up. And
we ignore them, though. I've gotten used to them.
Oh, I only had like
I haven't been through a big one, so. Well.
I had like one good roller when we lived in the valley there a long time ago, and we're like, "Oh, this is so bizarre," but nothing ever too bad. Knock on wood, though. They just forecasted one on the news this morning for LA.
All right, yeah, time for a trip.
Well, no, at least we'll have this to archive who you were. Oh no, don't take Joe with you.
Nice knowing you.
Yeah,
I'll pick him up on the way when I run out of town.
I guess he won't get to continue that career. Oh
no, poor Joe. Actually, we ran away together from the fires that we had to evacuate for.
Gosh, yeah, that was scary.
It was a little bit. I've never been in that situation, and people again had this kind of lackadaisical thing, and I'm like, you can't hide under your bed from a fire, so I would like to leave now. Thank you.
How close did it get? It was what, near there was like a Sunset fire, or where?
There was one in Studio City and one in the Hollywood Hills, and that's the one that we were supposed to evacuate for, that we needed to evacuate for. And we were fine, everything was okay, but air quality and the amount of smoke and everything that just settled in for the next few days was really harmful. So, and I don't think that's what people really take into consideration, is the toxins in the air and the smoke and everything that's happening is more deadly than the actual fire itself.
Yeah, no, good for you. My brother is on the other side of the hill fire, and he lives near Universal, and they had to evacuate at the same time. And so scary. I mean, that was
my first time doing that, and I my heart goes out to anybody who's really been through the things that they've been through with this. So,
my aunt lost her house in Malibu, and the house that she owned before that, and but she has the best attitude about it. She's alive, her daughter's alive, they're okay, but scary stuff.
Yeah, well, that's most important.
So you have done a good amount of indie work. You said you find those opportunities through Actors Access, or these through connections. How have you gotten into these roles?
Most of it has been auditioning, just the good old fashioned way of submitting on Actors Access and finding work that way. And then just getting in with a group that is creating content and wanting to do something and trying to make something more of what's going on. So a lot of the indie work that I've done, quite a few of the projects have been with the same person, have been with the same team of people, or maybe they've swapped out actors, but the core team of director and writer and everything are there. And
you found them through Actors Access and
through Actors Access.
And now they keep on using.
I guess we found each other. I don't know how you.
Yeah, no, I don't.
They liked my audition, so I got brought in.
No, that's good, and they've kept you. They keep on bringing you back.
Right, and I think that's the good thing. That's the connection and kind of the being able to network, and also you get the opportunity to do work, and work begets work. Right.
Absolutely, and the fact that they trust you and want to have you, and they're not pursuing someone else instead of you says a lot about how you are. How have those jobs, those opportunities been valuable for you? Do you find that they are? I always say they're the building blocks to your career, but what do they mean to you?
I mean, there's so many ways that they're valuable to me. It's being able to be on set and really practice the skill. And I mean, this is the life of auditioning, I think. And I was told that in the beginning, but I didn't really believe it. But it is. But the auditions are so difficult to get. So that when you get them, you have to really understand what that took, right? And I don't think that we as actors really reflect on how difficult all of this is and how important it is to really appreciate and have the gratitude for these things.
The
right?
audition, the win.
Yeah,
Booking the
that's
role is
the
the
win.
cake, yeah.
But then it's your job to book the room, right? Like you have to, in that
Exactly.
audition, you have to just assume that you already have the job and then just go in with that mentality. That's what I try to do. Like, I don't know if I always succeed doing that, but I
Yeah,
feel like
same
when I
here.
get the callbacks, that's when I really am in my zone and I just let go and I get out of my own way.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the audition is, for me, it's the opportunity to truly make it yours and create.
Right.
Because once you get to set, the director might have a different idea, or I mean, if they reach out to you, they may say, "Hey, can you try this adjustment?" Are most of these from self-tape? These opportunities you've had?
Most of the auditions are self-tape. I think that's just the way everything has moved, especially since the pandemic. So once in a while, I think I've had one in-person audition since lockdown, and I've had a couple live auditions on Zoom. Callbacks are usually live, or it's select from a self-tape. So to go back to the question that you originally answered, that I feel like I'm dodging, getting on set, now you have the crew, you have the whole experience. You get to really, dive in and work with people and make those connections, and it's not just me and the camera anymore. It's me and a whole bunch of people, and that's really the fun of it, right? Is you get to make stuff together, and that's really real magic for me happens, because as an actor, what I've also learned in a lot of background roles and things that I've done, Scandal, what a gift it was to see how a green screen worked when I was first learning all of this stuff, and then to see what the live television show looked like and how all of that magic just put it together, like editing and music and composition and everything. It adds so much to this. It just really is just a full-on collaborative project to create beautiful stuff.
No, it's amazing how all the pieces come together, and there's only, I mean, we do what we can do, and then the team comes together. And that's actually one thing I prefer about film and TV, is that the focus isn't necessarily when you're doing the job. It isn't necessarily on you. Everyone's doing their little thing, and you get to be, do your thing, but it's all this team working towards one thing. And I don't know.
Right.
Because I guess I don't do a lot of stage, but for when you're doing stage, when it's I was going to say when they say action, but when the curtain opens, it's really just on the actors.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's such a different experience because there is no second take. It's that one take. And if you feel yourself falling out of character, you have to get yourself back into character because nobody is going to help you. And
that's terrifying. Do you have a preference?
Do I have a preference?
Yeah. Stage versus TV film.
I mean, film and TV pays more. And being on set is so exciting and fun, and I love it. So, I mean, I am like a kid when I get back onto a set, but being on a stage and doing theater, it's basically like full-on contact sport because there's no safety net. You're there, you're doing it. It's you and your scene partners, and that's it. You got the crew around you, but it's just like, all right, this is on you. And there's something thrilling about that.
Is there? So scary. Yeah, I don't like so much. I grew up around it, and it's not. I don't know. I think it's not. But I respect it. Most actors do it, but I'm that crazy guy. Do you prefer, because you've been on the sets, the bigger sets like Scandal and SVU and stuff? Do you prefer indie projects? And I know indie projects, you've had larger opportunities. But do you have a preference between indie and studio projects?
I guess there's more prestige in my mind to have the studio projects, bigger budget, and they're more well known and things like that. But in an indie project, you get to roll up your sleeves, and when you have to work the clapper or the mic or something, you kind of need an extra hand. There's really nothing holding you back from being able to do that. It's not just like this is somebody's job, and I respect that, and I respect the unions, and I think the union is a fabulous thing. But when it's like you're doing stuff with your friends, you get to work with people that you really love, and then you just kind of like jump in and you don't think about it. It doesn't feel like work, it's just.
There's more room to create, I find, on an indie set.
Well, it's also more room to learn, right? Because now I'm learning all these other skills and really seeing how this all fits together.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Do you, well, when I'm on, say, a larger set, I always find it, I'm always like, I could help you carry that thing. Like, you really don't, but you're not allowed. It's like, oh, well. So you're non-union now, but you're eligible for SAG.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on joining SAG? Because I know that can limit opportunities, but what are your thoughts? Do you want to join?
The advice that I've been given is to hold off and wait. And that's just because of what you just said. There's more opportunity as non-union, and being in the union, unfortunately, feels like it limits you. I feel like I don't have enough credits and connections in those bigger union type projects to really say, yes, I can join this. And I feel confident doing that it's going to be able to take me.
Yeah.
I want to join. And so here's part of my frustration is as far as pay and everything is concerned. I'm finding that a lot of these non-union projects are like, well, we can get away with paying less. So you're not really getting the protection of the union. You're not really getting the
residuals,
and there's certain things that are happening now where it feels like they really try to take the negotiation out of it, where you're not going to get more money.
Take it or leave it.
Like this. Yeah. Take it or leave it.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're in such a place right now where most people are like, all right, I'll take it. And
and they know that.
I really wish there was some sort of regulation or something around that to at least make it a fair wage. Because if you think about all of the time and effort that we put into the auditions, that we put into training and classes and
line memorization,
all of it. And it's like, as we go, we get better at that stuff, right? Because again, we're going to the gym and we're training those muscles and we're making it more efficient. And I feel like you should be compensated for your experience and for your and for the time that's happening behind all of this stuff. It's like, I've been very fortunate to have a lot of auditions in the last few weeks, but there's a couple of them where it was like an all-day project because I was doing 5 scenes and 2 numbers. And then I was doing another one where they wanted me to submit for 6 different roles in this project.
Oh my God.
Everybody to do that. And it's great because it's great practice for me, but it's also like, this is all for free. This is $0 I've made. So then I think if I were in a corporate job, I'd be making significantly more than $0
for that amount of time. Absolutely.
Especially when I was a consultant, because I started consulting, 10 years into it. So.
I mean, I joined SAG in 99. I did stand-in work for the show called That's My Bush, which was like a show that made fun of George Bush, George W. Bush. And that's how I got my SAG card. And then I started getting opportunities from my agent. So I do see how it's been worthwhile to me. And I do, in a sense, it makes the decision for me not to take jobs that won't, help me give credits for my insurance, and, that will make sure I make a certain rate. But of course, that also means that I can't get those many commercial opportunities because most are non-union. So if you got to a point where you had to join SAG, would you, and I'm not advocating this because I know some people have a huge, strong opinion on this. I don't. So I respect all, but would you consider FICOR if it got to that point? And do you know what that is?
I do know what FICOR is, and I've thought about that as well. But I figure for me personally, if I'm at a point where I feel confident in being able to join the union, I just want to join the union. I mean, that's what I want to focus on and have. I don't know if it's a sense of loyalty or it's a sense that I grew up in a blue collar family and I understand the importance of unions. And even going to a business school where we were taught, unions, do we really need them? Probably not. And that's just self-serving for corporations to be like, no, you don't need a union, trust us.
I mean, I like it. For me, it's the residuals and the screeners during the awards time. That's why I love it. I'm like, I love the residuals because I'm getting paid for a job I did 20 years ago. Sure, it's $1, it's 75 cents, but I'm like, that's free to me.
Still, it's like you really should be able to participate in that. I mean, if they're still generating money off of it, then the talent should be able to benefit too.
And residuals are how and not to say it's like getting a legit job is not easy. And a lot of people struggle, especially now, to get one. But the residuals are kind of a bridge between opportunities because there can be, as you know, long stretches between jobs. So I don't know, I love the union. I could see it being a good place for you. but again, you may not get those commercial opportunities. It's yeah, everyone has to make their individual decision on that.
Right. It really is. I think if I were in a place where my networking was stronger,
Yeah.
and I was getting more callbacks and more bookings, then I would feel like it would be time.
Yeah.
But until I really feel like I have that good baseline, I'm optimistically cautious, but I also am very, I'm pragmatic because I went to business school, right?
Of course. No, that's good. It's good to go in with that brain. And you wouldn't be able to do a lot of these indie projects, which I think are a great way to build that experience, get the footage for a reel or for your website, which I saw you have a lot of great clips on there. So I think it's great what you're doing. Does that agent, that friend of yours that's been your agent, are they still your agent, and do they get you opportunities in LA?
So he was never officially my agent.
Okay.
We didn't get to that point. He also represents people who are much farther along in their career. So I don't think he was ever really going to be my agent, but he did get me the audition that he promised. I went in for an audition for Blacklist.
Oh, that's awesome.
But then it's making the connections with the people in the room. And they brought me back in for 4 more auditions.
Oh, that says a lot again, right there.
So I called him up the one day and I'm like, hey, they brought me in for these auditions. Did you say something or submit me for something? He's like, no. I'm like, okay, well then that clicked to me of, this is why you have to keep up with the connections, and this is why you just have to go be yourself and make normal friendships with and acquaintanceships with people.
Be a human, be real, and just do the best you can with the job. So that's Zoe Rotter. I think it was Zoe Rotter doing Blacklist. But I think that was like my first New York audition was Blacklist, and that like an hour later was something else down the street, and I booked them both. I'm like, what?
Oh, nice.
I'm like, it's gonna be like this. It wasn't like that. It was Gotham and Blacklist, and I'm like, I booked them both, but they're very, very small roles. But this is called No Small Roles.
No Small Roles.
And I mean, those were important to me, and they helped, get me a little bit of traction in New York City. Have you thought about, because you're in LA, and not to say I don't like to think of this business as a competition, but when you're in a big pool of actors, there's a lot of guys like you and me. I'm a little bit older than you, but a lot of middle-aged white guys. Do you feel sometimes that it's hard to get opportunities because there's a lot of guys like us?
I feel like there probably is a lot more competition, but I also feel like, it comes to the relationship building, it comes to the networking, and that's such an important thing. And I will admit that I don't really put as much time and effort into that as I should, because I've met all of these people, but then it becomes that, keep up with them or let them know that you exist, because when you don't let them know you exist, they forget.
Of course. Yeah.
And that's an important, I think, part of it. My agent that I have now, she's in Florida and deals with New York, and then she has a business partner that covers Los Angeles. So I am being submitted in New York and LA, and I have it in her ear, but I don't know how often it's reminded that I can work local in Chicago and in Atlanta.
I was going to ask you about that.
To stay and the ability to do that.
I wanted to ask you, because I find that the locals can be really good for building opportunities, because everyone in LA, everyone is in the business, even the people, police, they're also actors. I mean, everyone. So I was saying to the guest I had the other day, is that there's not a whole lot of charm to when you book a job in LA, because everyone's like, oh, that's great. Cool. But like here where I am in, say, Connecticut, or when I lived in New Hampshire, they're like, oh, that's so cool. So I find that's kind of exciting. But the local markets like LA, like Boston and Atlanta, you can build really nice opportunities in some of these larger, legit, studio projects. Is that something you're ever more drawn to do? You said you had the Florida agent.
It is. So Actors Connection, you probably know what Actors Connection is.
Oh yeah, sure.
So it's they did an LA connection, an Atlanta connection, and a New York connection, where they put this 3 or 4 day thing together, and it's a bunch of casting directors and agents that you meet the casting directors, you take classes with them, and you do workshops, and then there's a showcase that you do for commercial and legitimate agents.
Yeah.
When I did it in Atlanta, that was the first time I had gotten an invitation to meet, for representation.
Was this in person or is this online? I'm sorry, I missed that.
It was in person.
Okay. Oh, wow. So you went over there.
This is all pre-pandemic.
Okay. All right.
We're going back a day.
Way back when. Yeah.
When I was a kid. And so that was, I did them in person, and I did LA a couple times. I did New York, and I did New York a couple times, and I did Atlanta when they first went through it. And
yeah,
I think you're right. When it comes to a smaller market, there's less fish in the pond. So when you have all this training and you can bring that to a smaller pond, it does create a little bit more opportunity to get to certain things. I think you might make it to a certain level faster.
Absolutely. I mean, that's when I moved back from Europe and I moved to New Hampshire and I started getting Boston opportunities, those absolutely helped build my foundation so I could launch into New York City and get more, then launch into the South. Not so much LA because it's kind of far, but that can be really worthwhile. I know you're in LA and LA is kind of lovely, but just maybe something. But it sounds like you're open to that idea. And the cool thing about self-taping is you can audition for those places from anywhere.
From anywhere.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I want to ask you when you get to, you have a project, you've got one of these. Actually, before we go into that, I'm going to show a very quick clip from Belsen.
Okay.
And this is about the Holocaust. Is that correct?
Yes.
Which is, that's heavy stuff. But it's a very quick clip, but I think you show a lot of nice range in here. It's so quick, I know, but you're in this thing much more, and I had longer clips. But just the power that we see in your face right there. What was this? That same group that you've been working with repeatedly, or is this some individual project?
No, this was an individual project. It was a passion project for someone. This group of guys that had just finished, I think they were a year or two out of film school, and it was the first small film I had done, or short film rather, that I had done.
Oh my God.
And it was a blast because I got to be the lead. I came in with all of my acting notes and things, and the director looked at me and was like, oh my God, I love actors who come to set prepared and have all your notes and all this other stuff. I'm like, well, yeah, I had to do my research and character development to a degree. I mean, it wasn't like massive character development, and then work on the accent and everything. Admittedly, I don't think it was the best German accent, but it got through. Yeah.
That's so hard. No, it was there. I mean, I way better than I could have done. It was, but it's really.
But yeah, that was actually the first project that I got to do, or second project actually that I got to do short film.
Were you excited or terrified or both, or do you not get terrified?
More excitement. I think like once it's committed to it being done, then I just get to work and I'm ready to jump in and do it.
And it's nice to see that people recognize what you can bring to a project, and then you brought it.
Yes.
But I know that's a very brief clip, but it's beautiful work. It's really, and the other clips I saw. I want to play one quick clip from Christmas at Pacific Breeze. That's the same people, right?
That is the same people.
Okay.
Yes.
Now here, and you're just so charming here, but here it is.
I was kind of hoping that you would want to go out to dinner with me.
As in a date?
As in a date. I was writing that book because I wanted to find a flight attendant and fall in love with her. And then after I heard how upset you were, I realized that I had to stop writing the book because the person that I'm falling for, she's right in front of me.
You bring such a warmth and vulnerability there, and just a lot of charm. Like, you have awesome charisma. So,
well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's really, really good. Really, so I hope you continue to work with these guys and gals.
I think I will go back. I took a little break to try and go on beyond and do more.
But why not? If someone's willing to take you without having to audition,
right?
Oh, that's the best.
Getting the phone call and being like, hey, do you want to do this? Like, yes, I don't care what it is. Yes, I don't have to audition. Sure.
Of course. I mean, so yeah, I don't get that a lot. I mean, maybe I wonder if union opportunities make that less frequent unless you're at a much higher level. I don't know, or it's just me.
It makes me think of Schitt's Creek when oh my god, what's her name?
I never watch it.
Oh no,
I know
Catherine O'Hara's character out there. She's like, I'm what they call in the industry offer only.
that would be a dream.
No,
Could you imagine?
Yeah.
Yeah, not having to audition. Oh, though I do love self-taping. I love that you don't have to go on.
Although I love watching interviews with actors who are completely seasoned and have such an established career and have won awards, and they're like, I still have to audition. It's like, really?
Yeah,
that's insane to me. But also, it's kind of humanizes them, and we're all in the same boat in a way.
I had this guy on, Matt Lesher, and he has been doing it for years, working at a very high level. He was the bad guy in the Zorro movie several years back. 20 years ago, over 20 years ago. And he still auditions. I'm sure he does get the occasional offer, but it's a constant struggle. He's been fortunate to pretty much continuously work because he has got that great foundation, but it's can be grueling.
It can be grueling. And I think, for me to combat that, because there are times when I've taken a step back, and I think that for anyone, it's best to know yourself. And if you need a break, take a break. For me, I would take a break, and then I would just be like, all right, I have to make up for lost time. And I'm starting this career so much later in life, and I have to make up for that time and everything. And there's no time to make up for. The time is now. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And I would encourage anybody who wants to do this career to just be resilient and stick with it, because you never know when something's going to happen. If this is really what you love and what you want to do, then keep pursuing it and just keep chipping away at it, and then take those breaks. I got sober 3.5 years ago, and that was a point in time where I knew I needed to do it for myself. So I made that decision, and it was a tough decision to do, and I'm grateful that I finally got there. But less than a year into my sobriety, I was just dealing with all these feelings and emotions I had never dealt with before, which is great to have for an actor. But it just became very overwhelming. And my agent at the time and another friend of mine is casting director, I just had a couple conversations with them and my acting coach. And I'm like, I have to take a step back, because even though all of the stuff is coming in, my heart's not in it, my mind's not in it, and that has to be coming across on the camera. So this just is a waste of everybody's time right now, and I don't want to do that. And I really just need to find myself, allow myself to deal with this and then come back to it. And that's what I did. And then I come in with a different mindset, and it's that shift of having the resilience, getting the patience, being able to just chip away at things, go and take the classes that I need to take, and really be committed to it and feel really good about it. So.
That's a great perspective. I think life should always come first. It's just acting. Don't take it too seriously. And congrats, though. That's a huge step that you made to better your life. So I applaud you.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, we do this because it's fun, and we want to have fun with it. So if it's not fun, or you're not getting fun out of it, you have to find your way back to the fun.
Absolutely. And I think, one thing you said, starting later in life, I took a huge break in the middle, and I kind of came back around the same age. And I find there's so many people that started earlier, and they didn't stop for a while, and push, and they've burnt out by the time they're our age, though I'm a little older. And so we come in, and we are fresh. We're excited. We still look forward to that next opportunity. You don't know what each opportunity could turn into. And of course, there's a lot of disappointment, but you got to roll with it. And I think we've got maybe a little thicker skin because we've lived a different life, before we really dug into it.
Yeah. And I think that's right. And we're also I'm not having teen heartthrob roles or, some sort of
not either
school, whatever. I'm the teacher now, or the dad, or the
doctor. You must be a doctor too.
Yes. Most recently I was a doctor on some vertical.
Lawyer? Do you get lawyer?
Get lawyer a lot, doctor a lot. The businessman, anything in a suit.
We're very similar types. Wait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And every once in a while I'll get a blue collar kind of role, and I struggle with it a little bit.
Yeah, me too.
It's definitely in the wheelhouse. So it's just something I have to work on a little bit more.
There's something shooting up in Massachusetts, and it requires a lot of fishermen. And I'm like, I got some of those auditions. I'm like, they're never gonna buy me. I grew out a little bit of fuzz for they're never gonna buy me as it. And then I got one character was like narrator. I'm like, this is the only one I could book, and I booked it.
Nice.
But it's like, yeah, it is what it is. We'll take whatever they see us as. Now we need to ask you, when you hop onto a set, whether it be indie, whatever, what kind of preparation do you have? Do you have a hocus pocus, something that gets you in the zone? Do you have a routine?
What is my routine? I don't really know that I have a routine. It's just to feel that I'm prepared, because that's when I feel like I do my best work is
Sure.
when I just know my lines and I've come prepared. I realize what the character is, and me stepping on set isn't necessarily having to do this massive amount of research to be a lead in a feature film, like, the name of the show. It's no small parts, but
no small roles,
or no small roles, or no small parts.
I do that too.
But it's still being able to just have that level of preparation where I know I'm going to walk in, do my best. And if I get distracted or nervous or anxious or anything, then I know everything is in me already, and I just can do my job, remind myself of that. I think exactly. So my ritual is to be prepared and be able to keep myself grounded and in the moment, and just remember that it's all about the other actors, not about me. And then that's what helps me bring out my best performances.
I was going to ask you do you have any advice for up and coming actors or people trying to find their way in the business? That sounds like good advice there alone. Do you have anything else that you would advise people? I mean, that was pretty good there, though.
My advice would be to explore different classes. If you can audit a class, get a real sense and feel for it. Read some books like Meisner, Sandy Meisner's book, and get a better understanding of what acting is, because I had such a preconceived notion of what this was all about. And then when I actually learned it and found out, it was such a gift to be able to get that. But there were the things that I found before, like I said, that class I took at HB Studios, and I know that they have some great classes. I'm not saying anything negative about them.
Yeah, of course.
But for my personal experience with that, it discouraged me. And then there were a couple like open call type of things that I went to, where it's just like a cattle call of 1,000 people that are going there, and everybody wants to be an actor and nobody's in the industry, and they just have no idea how this is all working. And that became overwhelming. And I'm like, well, this is what it's like. Then I don't want to do this either. So I would say, do your homework, do your research. Just be informed, and that's the best approach to take, I think.
Yeah, dig through the muck and find the gems,
and then just really find your way to learn the craft. It's a process, and it takes a long time to build that confidence and learn the ability to do it. I mean, some people have more of a natural knack for it, I guess, but I think most of us really have to learn and understand and listen and find really good teachers and mentors.
Yeah, I think most people would say, even if they do have natural ability, is that training is essential regardless.
Right.
Don't spend a fortune and break the bank, but do what you can. Now we're going to come back to it. We've held on to them this long, and I've held on to you this long. The kiss and tell. Can you share us, in your one word, poor behavior, what that one word meant?
Poor behavior. I guess this will roll into another little piece of advice that I was thinking about.
Great.
Don't take things personally, which I didn't do in this case. So I was doing background for a pretty big show. I'll just say it, because at this point, I don't think any of these people are working on it anymore. It was on Billions.
Okay.
And they had just moved it from Connecticut, I think, to New York and Brooklyn. And when I submitted for the background thing, it sounded like it was this amazing, cool thing where it's like, and I even showed it to my acting coach. She's like, oh, this will be great, because you're going to do little scenes and stuff, and they might Taft-Hartley you, and you get to have a line or whatever. Well, I walked into this thing, and it was like 200 people in background, and it was a whole cattle call. So we would sit in holding for like 14 hours. It would be like a 14-hour day, and 12 of it we would be in holding, and then we get to go on set here and there.
Did they ever I am interrupting, but did they advertise it as featured background? I feel like they use that as a hook all the time.
I think they did. And I was like,
there's really? 200 of us. That's not featured.
I'll feature.
But I'm sorry, go on.
So it was actually one of the PAs that was on there, and she just was such a not nice person.
That's
And
a
what I
way
realized
to
is
say
she
it.
was super nice to all the people that she felt could get her somewhere or help her career, but she was miserable to everybody else and just very disrespectful. And I realized, like, that's a you problem, not a me problem.
Yes.
But it just left a very poor taste in my mouth because the whole thing in general was just not run great for being such a great show. And and actually getting to see really talented lead actors like Damian Lewis and everything on there was a real gift to be able to see him work. You know?
Yeah.
So aside of all like the negative things that were going on behind the scenes and in different actions and things, I think there was more good to take out of it than bad. But it was those moments of realizing, like, you know, not everybody's going to be in your best interest. Not everybody's going to be your friend, and don't take on that negativity. So that would be another piece of advice that I would give any new young actors or new actors, that there's going to be a lot of people who have opinions. There's going to be a lot of people who are on their own journey, and they're going to love to tell you all the problems and crazy things that have happened to them. Do your best to not take that on.
Well said. Wow, that's great. Great advice. Before we wrap it up, we kind of talked, I think, well, do you have a most cherished moment? And then I'll do the second part of the question after. Most cherished moment?
A most cherished moment. I think it was being on Orange is the New Black.
Okay.
So the cherished moment came when it was live. It was Christmas. I was in Vienna with a couple of my nephews, and I mentioned that I had done something for this show, and they're like, "Oh my God, we got to find the episode." So for me, thinking, "Oh, this isn't a big deal. You know, it's just this little small thing."
Yeah.
And for them, it was just like the best thing ever to be able to like see me on television. So
that's the charm. Like, I had this thing where I played violin in this. It was a Lifetime movie. I had a couple of lines. Lines were cut, which comes up all the time in the show. You get cut. But lines were cut. But because we used to live in Belgium, this Lifetime movie played over there. And all you do is see me fake playing the violin. And someone reached out to me. They're like, "Oh my God, we just saw you playing the violin in this TV show." But in French, they said that. Yeah, that was my biggest role. But yeah, it's a silly business. But it's fun.
You know, moments.
What's your dream opportunity? Or working with a dream director, dream role, what would be?
I am a big, huge sci-fi geek.
Okay.
And
I like horror.
Put me on, horror. I actually have been auditioning for a few different horror comedies and things like that, and I love it. Horror films, like, they kind of, I don't want to watch the blood and guts, but I want to make the horror films, sci-fi and horror. If you put me on Star Trek, I'm saying this to everybody, put me on Star Trek. I just want to be on Star Trek. That is my dream role.
That would be awesome. Yes. Okay. Thank you. That's a good answer. I would just want to be killed in a horror movie. I did this one recently where it's like, oh, in the script it said, you brand your kid with this branding iron, then your wife comes in and shoots you in the head and your head explodes. I get to set, they're like, yeah, we can't afford to do the head explodes. So we're going to do that off camera. And then you just fall to the ground. I was so disappointed. But whatever.
Have you taken any classes with Pamela Kramer?
I don't know the name. No.
If you look at Actors Connection, I know she teaches there once in a while. I've taken a class. I actually read and host for Actors Connection as well.
Well, that's great. That's great.
Yeah, that's been a lot of fun. So I've hosted her class and I've taken her class. She does a sci-fi class, and she does this class called Dying for the Camera. And she teaches you how to die on camera in all these different ways. And
I've done it without the camera so many times. I've pretended to be dead for my wife many times at the bottom of the stairs. I'm like, oh my God. I did it to my mom too, but oh my God, that'd be such a fun class, I imagine.
Yeah.
Did you take it, or was that when you were auditing?
I hosted for it, and I also took the class. So
that sounds so fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
And that's in New York?
Actors Connection? It was on Zoom, so you can take it anywhere.
Oh, I want to do it. I want to do that. Well, thank you so much for your time. Is there anything you want to promote, or one last thought before we close it up?
Of course. No, my mind just went blank when you said thank you. So
oh no, sorry.
Leave it at that.
No pressure. Well, thank you so much for doing this. Thank you to Joe for suggesting that you come on.
Yeah, thanks, Joe.
Thank you for your time. And I don't know. I will post this soon, but I'll tell you. Hang on for a second. We'll play the goodbye song. Okay. Everyone, thank you very much. Keep an eye out for Chris Dooley or Dooley Face. Can we?
Dooley Face. That's my company name.
Okay, we're gonna thank you, Dooley Face. And everyone share, like, comment, and we'll see you later. Hang on, Chris. And goodbye, everyone else.